Vietnam's sapper troops wipe out 12 armored vehicles full of Chinese soldiers in just 20 minutes. Dear viewers, welcome back to the latest episode of Thuy and Matt. Dear friends, it can be said that in the past, China was once a friend, a communist comrade, and a partner to the Vietnamese people, as it not only provided us with millions of tons of goods and medicine but also helped train our combat forces such as infantry and artillery. However, there is one force that Vietnam confidently believes it can train without Chinese instruction, which is the Sapper Corps, with combat skills and endurance. Beyond human limits, the Sapper Force achieved many unbelievable feats during the 1979 border war, making the Chinese mentors tremble in fear. The secret ambush that destroyed 17 Chinese troop carriers in just 20 minutes, which we are about to recount, is a prime example. Please join us to follow the story. While the fight to defend the fatherland in the southwestern border and our military and people's international duty had achieved decisive victory, the situation on the northern border worsened further. On February 17, 1927, fighting broke out along the entire border from Long Tai to Lai Chau. In response, the Sapper Force was urgently mobilized by the Ministry of Defense to reinforce combat units. In February 1979, the Ministry of Defense ordered the Sapper Command to deploy the 45th Sapper Battalion to coordinate with the Military Region 1 Command in combat. Marching for the night of February 17 to 2200 on February 19, the 45th Sapper Battalion reached the assembly position. The battalion was initially commanded by Major Pan Son Trong, later by Senior Captain Wang An Pua. Accompanying the battalion were the head of the Military Region 1 Sapper Department, some envoys from the Sapper Command and the Military Region Sapper Office. Colonel Dang Trong Tan, former Deputy Chief of Staff of the Sapper Command, commented, "During the war to defend the fatherland, on both the northern and southwestern borders, the Sapper troops continued to uphold their tradition, displaying exceptional skill, incredible bravery, cunning and boldness, achieving major victories against dangerous odds, creatively applying Sapper tactics to destroy targets of campaign and strategic significance, contributing to victories on various battlefields. Excellently, the battalion received urgent combat orders. The unit, while training, had to maneuver hundreds of kilometers. So help ye climb, and the unfamiliar combat terrain posed challenges. Meanwhile, the combat opponent was also new, so we were unclear about the enemy's level and combat capability. Moreover, the 45th Sapper Battalion was a newly established unit, having not participated in any battles, thus lacking experience. At 5 a.m. on February 20th, all officers and soldiers of the battalion were in position, ready, deploying to dig trenches and combat fortifications. In the first phase, from February 20th to March 4th, the battalion conducted defensive combat to hold objectives combined with counterattack. The battalion's second phase of activity occurred from March 9th to March 14th. The battalion organized reconnaissance of 4 points, fought 2 battles, 1 ambush, 1 assault. On March 10, 1979, the battalion organized an ambush to destroy an enemy motorized convoy on National Highway 3. The battalion's deep infiltration force had 3 prongs coordinating with local militia guerrillas, secretly approaching to ambush the enemy in the Doi Not K area. Prong 1 had 20 soldiers led by Comrade Bao Van Quang, Deputy Commander, and Comrade Tuong Dui Chen as Deputy Commander. Prong 2 had 19 soldiers as the auxiliary. Prong 3 was the 82mm mortar section led by Comrade Buong, with the task of suppressive fire against, preventing them from reacting against the unit's formation. After 2 nights of marching to Nakhon village, the unit was ordered to halt for reconnaissance. 3 militia members from Tan Son District, Tan Ti Hua, Lo Ti Su, and Bao Nang Go, were assigned to guide the unit. All were ordered to penetrate deep into the combat zone, where the enemy was densely stationed on hills and fortresses. On the hills, there was up to a regiment. Daily they guarded the road section leading into the town gate. The mission of the 45th Sapper Battalion was to strike fast and disperse quickly. Otherwise, they would be trapped in the enemy's As dawn broke, the unit had just finished fortifications, and the enemy began to appear. At first, it was just a truck coming from Tai Ho Shen. At the foot of Nok Hay Hill, the vehicle stopped for enemy soldiers to unload cargo, then entered the village to pluck chickens, ducks, and pigs from our people. By 8:30 a.m., 8 other trucks full of goods and broken bicycles still ran from Pai back to the town. Half an hour later, 17 vehicles loaded with enemy troops and H-12 rocket ammunition passed through the battlefield from Saodang town. Nguyen Van Ton, former soldier of Company 1, Special Forces Battalion 45, remained. When the last vehicle entered the tail-locking position, Comrade Nguyen Van Sen was ordered to open fire. From his shoulder, an E-41 shell shot out of the barrel, pierced the truck's body, and exploded, followed by the sound of grenades, hand grenades exploding, interspersed with bursts of AK fire suppressing the enemy. At the forward blocking position, Soldier Hong Van NHAC fired 3 rapid-fire AK rounds, eliminating the driver. The second vehicle was destroyed by Deputy Company Commander Tuong Dui Chin with a B-41 shell. The H-12 rocket ammunition on the vehicles caught fire, exploding contiguously. Thus, the entire remaining formation of 14 vehicles, with over 200 enemy troops, lay neatly within. Commander Dao Ban Quan led soldiers Loi, Kong, Da, and militia member Bong Ban Go to flank the enemy. Comrade Quan immediately fired another B-41 shell into 6 vehicles lined up, peeling over their hoods as they tried to find an escape route. Enemy soldiers jumping from the vehicles only had time to duck out of the truck beds or lie flat in drainage ditches on both sides. From above, our soldiers simply dropped grenades, hand grenades, and fired AKs downward, wiping out all enemy troops. While the unit was destroying the enemy convoy, hundreds of enemy troops stationed on observation hills and saddle positions heard the gunfire, abandoned their weapons, hurriedly climbed higher hills, watching flames billowing from National Highway 3. Seizing the opportunity, the 82mm mortar platoon leader ordered an attack. Dozens of shells, carefully calculated, were fired in rapid succession, raining fire on the enemy's heads, eliminating over 100 more. The entire battle lasted just over 20 minutes. When the enemy reacted, the unit quickly followed 3 militia soldiers, pierced through Nake village, and returned to the assembly position. It can be said that the ambush on National Highway 3 achieved high efficiency and a resounding victory. Immediately after that victory, Special Forces Battalion 45 organized another secret raid on the enemy in Road 4 area. From March 15 to March 17, 1979, the battalion continued to hold its ground, while organizing forces to pursue the enemy on their retreat route. Despite the long march and difficult logistical support, the unit resolutely carried out its duties, marching continuously day and night to assigned areas, ready to fight as tasked. In February 1979, as war erupted along the entire northern border front, the Chief of General Staff decided to deploy Battalion 47, Military Region 7, to directly serve Front 400, Battalion 406, Military Region 5, to directly serve Hoang Linh Son Province. Battalion 44, following orders from the Ministry of Defense, on March 1, 1979. Regiment 198B urgently marched back to the country to reinforce military region. Subsequently, in June 1979, the ministry deployed Regiment 113 Special Forces from the battlefield in Cambodia back to the country as the ministry's mobile force. Special Forces Battalion 45 merged into Regiment 100 by order of the General Staff in December 1979, Battalion 1A and Group A54. Group S74, operating in the west, were ordered back to the country, under Special Forces Group 1, Special Forces Command. Thus, by the end of 1979, the combat mobile forces of the Special Forces branch on international duty in Laos had returned to the country, tasked with being combat ready to protect the northern border of the fatherland. Since hostilities erupted on the northern border, the Special Forces Command organized to grasp the new combat targets on all fronts, firmly understanding all aspects of the situation, including terrain, weather, and developing combat, determining the flexible tactical forms of engagement for the Special Force. The Standing Committee of the Party in the Special Forces branch determined that the immediate task of the branch was to shift all its activities to wartime mode, develop combat plans for all fronts and areas, and build deep infiltration forces. To meet combat requirements, by the end of 1979, all military regions had organized Special Forces departments. Each military region had one Special Forces. In 1980 and subsequent years, the enemy continued to use firepower and ground forces to attack and encroach upon many areas within the northern border provinces. Especially from September 2 to July 12, 1984, the enemy continuously used manpower and firepower to launch multiple attacks, encroaching upon 27 areas and 243 high points. 1. In the face of the adversary's aggressive and encroaching actions. 2. The special forces along with the military and civilians of the border provinces continue. 3. Blocking the points that the adversary intends to occupy. 4. Perhaps you still remember, Vietnam in the 20th century experienced 4 major 5. and brutal wars to gain independence and defend the fatherland, with France from 1945 to 1954. 6. With the United States from 1965 to 1975, against the genocidal Pol Pot regime. 7. From 1978 to 1989, and the border war from 1979 to 1989. 8. The revolutionary military doctrine in modern warfare, with the foundation built by President Ho Chi Minh. 9. And elevated to an art by General Vo Nguyen Giap. 10. Has formed a theoretical system of armed struggle under modern warfare conditions. 11. Vietnam's terrain seems very favorable for an all-out attack by superpowers. 12. There is full of obstacles for belligerent forces. 13. From there, special forces emerged to meet the practical requirements of the battlefield and combat targets. 14. The special forces, in a way, were formed and developed from Vietnamese military doctrine. 15. Because they had to fight against enemies many times stronger. 16. Vietnamese special forces bear very distinctive marks. 17. Such as the ability to secretly infiltrate, penetrate deeply, sabotage, and destroy important targets. 18. Along with the ability to survive in extremely harsh environments like cotton. 19. Swamps, rivers and lakes, seas, deserts, thanks to endurance beyond imagination. 20. Formed and developed in the fierce war against a military superpower. 21. Strong in both manpower and modern warfare means. 22. The combat methods and skills of Vietnamese special forces became a serious threat. 23. Constantly facing the U.S. military on the Vietnam. 24. By attacking the most heavily guarded places, the special forces destroyed military airfields. 25. Warehouses, ports, eliminated transport convoys, blocked and caused heavy losses to operations. 26. Attacked military bases, captured or eliminated high-ranking officers of the U.S. military. And 27. Even special forces and commandos launched firepower attacks right in the inner city. 28. Special forces and commandos turned Vietnam into a battlefield without a rear, with no safe place for U.S. troops. 29. Right from the Independence Resistance War, this elite force demonstrated its mettle. 30. And effective combat capability against the professional army and modern weapons of France. 31. Along with the Legionnaire. 32. In the early period, the war was extremely arduous. Battles often caused heavy human losses. 33. Under the brilliant direction of General Vo Nguyen Giap, the Viet Minh Army changed its. 34. It must be admitted that special forces are a high development of guerrillas, and the Vietnamese are the best guerrillas in the world. 35. Special forces conduct deep infiltration, reconnaissance, and fight with enemy territory, determined to die for the fatherland to live. 37. They are the assault soldiers on the dense defensive lines of enemy posts. 38. Carrying explosives and demolition charges, they opened attack paths for assault forces. 39. Overcoming layers of barbed wire fences, mines, and dense machine gun fire. 40. Soaked with the blood and courage of the suicide soldiers. 41. The initial combat method was secret assault warfare. 42. Meaning secretly infiltrating the defensive system of posts, combined with. 43. Meaning using concentrated. 44. During this period, the first two special infantry units established were detachments 112 and 113. 45. Parallel to land combat was the development of naval special. 46. Aimed at attacking the enemy's river transport. 47. Especially in South Vietnam, where there are many rivers, canals, and transport channels, supported by. 48. The fierce battles on the southern rivers formed the first SAC Force Special Forces. 49. Their victories shattered all war intentions, leading the Vietnamese armed forces. 50. From one victory to another, growing stronger day by day. The years 1953 to 1954 were the most vigorous development period for the Viet Minh Special Forces. When small, well-equipped, and perfectly skilled combat units. From the southern war zones, they launched strong attacks against French army defensive units. inflicting heavy losses in manpower. While completely destroying General Navarre's ambition to build 18-strong mobile army corps, and pushing the French army into a final battle, Dien Bien Phu ended the war in Vietnam. After the resounding victory at Dien Bien Phu, along with the orientation to build a regular, the Viet Cong reconnaissance units with quite strong initial staffs. From the north, Special Forces marched along the historic Ho Chi Minh Trail, approaching the southern battlefield, building local sapper and special action forces in the war zones. From there, regular Special Forces units of the South Vietnam People's Liberation Army were formed, as well as semi-regular units like guerrilla militia throughout the South. Trained in the war zones, sapper combat techniques were developed and replicated across all of South Vietnam. From infiltrating enemy base areas in various forms, transporting weapons and equipment into the enemy's rear, to secret, surprise attacks. Sapper forces formed in all branches on the battlefield were divided into 2 or 3 tactical models. Organizing reconnaissance sapper forces, sappers, and special action forces. In February 1964 alone, there were 7 attacks eliminating dangerous targets of the Saigon government. And the U.S. military, with special action fighter strikes, also aimed at important American figures, such as U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara, General William Westmoreland, commander of the U.S. Military Assistance Command in South Vietnam, Roy Tan Son Nhut Airport. Vietnamese sapper attacks occurred everywhere, even in areas considered the best protected and most secure military bases in the world, like Long Binh Depot, Tan Son Nhut Airport, hotels reserved for senior U.S. officers. And ultimately, the target was the U.S. Embassy in Saigon, attacked on March 30, 1965. The combat objectives of sappers from various branches, reconnaissance sappers, artillery sappers, missile sappers, were mainly aimed at seaport warehouses and military bases, especially airfields, which were the main firepower support and also the strongest advantage of the U.S. military on the Vietnam battlefield. The first attack on Dien Hoa Air Base from October 31 to November 1, 1964, caused heavy losses to the U.S. military, destroying 1 fire aircraft and killing many U.S. soldiers. Following that was the attack and run at Holy Way, near Breaky, from February 7 to 8, 1965. 8 U.S. servicemen were killed, 106 wounded, and 5 helicopters were directly destroyed. Summarizing the entire achievements of the Vietnamese People's Army sappers during the war, they destroyed 1,600 artillery pieces, 30 missile launchers, 9,000 military vehicles, 2.7 million tons of bombs and ammunition, 600 sank or damaged 400 combat ships, and thousands of various combat aircraft. Along with the strong development of land sappers were Vietnam's naval commandos, whose numbers and combat skills far exceeded all understanding of the underwater combat capabilities of all forces worldwide. According to U.S. naval intelligence reports, by 1969, there were 3 battalions, 4 companies, and 2 naval commando training centers right in the south. Additionally, there was the 126th Naval Commando Regiment, operating near the 17th parallel area, the largest and most important offensive combat campaign, unprecedented in world military history. Regarding the use of special forces was the 1968 Tet Offensive and Uprising. Sapper, special action, reconnaissance, and commando forces combined with armed forces across the South conducted a general offensive and uprising across the entire battlefield, attacking all U.S. command centers and military bases. The most typical was the attack on the U.S. Embassy, a true fortress in the middle of Saigon. The assault killed and wounded nearly 190 U.S. servicemen. But more importantly, it broke the strategic war mindset of the U.S. military in South Vietnam. The 1968 Tet Offensive and Uprising destroyed all hopes but victory on the battlefield and fueled the struggle to end the Vietnam War in the U.S. and worldwide. And also, one of the lesser-known special forces was the Special Operations Force on the Trong Son Trail, with the mission of countering the sabotage commando units of the U.S. military. This force originated from the 30th Brigade of the Airborne Troops. According to foreign reports, about 9 combat battalions along the Trong Son route were trained in commando methods. These units directly confronted the commando forces of the U.S. 1st Air Cavalry Division in the Aishao, Urua areas in Route 9 in southern Laos. The Special Forces fought fiercely, inflicting heavy losses on many enemy reconnaissance and commando units. The combat scope of the Vietnamese Special Forces is not limited to the border. As the war expanded, U.S. military bases in Cambodia and Thailand were also attacked by Special Forces. The famous battle at Lima Site 85 on Pha Thi Peak in the Laotian border destroyed the radar base. Reconnaissance, navigation, and U.S. Air Combat Command. Vietnamese Special Forces also repeatedly raided U.S. air bases at Udon and Utapao. Notably, the raid by the 1st Special Forces Regiment severely damaged 8 U.S. B-52 bombers at Utapao base. During the border war, the Vietnamese Special Forces were also the first regular units to engage in combat against the mountain ranges force, while conducting raids, ambushes, destroying military transport convoys and material facilities, technical logistics, fuel of the enemy, and intercepting enemy commando infiltration along the border. Above is interesting information that Tuyen Mad TV wants to share with you all. Please follow and subscribe to the channel Beyond the Veil 0707 for the latest videos. Goodbye and see you in the next episodes on Tuyen Mad TV channel. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all. After selecting the topic, we will proceed to write the article. Each article has its own style, personally compiled by me with the highest quality content, along with perspectives, evaluations, comments, and personal views based on years of research on the topic. With articles about patriotism, about Vietnam's struggle against external forces and invasion. We will convey additional special values. Through this, we praise the heroes who sacrificed for the independence and freedom of the fatherland, as well as honor the fatherland and the heroes who contributed to the country. With these articles, we will proceed to compile, remembering the heroes who sacrificed for the independence and freedom of the fatherland, while awakening the patriotic spirit in every Vietnamese citizen, and calling on everyone to join hands in protecting the country's peace. After having 5 text drafts ready, I will proceed to record. Hanoi, Dien Bien Phu in the air. With significant meaning in many aspects such as politics, military, and diplomacy. Affirming the correct leadership of the party and beloved Uncle Ho, as well as the spirit determination to fight and win, and creativity of the officers and soldiers of the Vietnam People's Army. Next is the editing process. We mainly use the Air software. Illustrative images are used reasonably according to YouTube's policies to make our product more understandable to the audience, hoping the audience access their content more. Below is the channel's posting process. Above is the entire working process of me and the team. We are very passionate about the products we create. We sincerely hope the YouTube team will review and verify again. We hope to have a long-term cooperation with YouTube, thereby creating practical and meaningful values for the community. Thank you.